Hello everyone, it's Chaos Supreme. I just switched on live and thought, I'm not there. And then I realised that there was a piece of paper over the top of the camera, so I wouldn't be there. Now that sort of technical issue I can deal with, but we didn't have any chat. So what I've got to do tonight now, there's only one of me, but there are two screens, two laptops, because this one over here is on your time and gives me the chat. This one over here has got the technical magudgeons so that we can make everything run. Now I'm hoping if I check the chat over here that no one is saying I can't hear you because it looks the mic is on. Everything seems to be working. The only thing that's not working quite up to usual standards tonight is Caroline. She's feeling a little under the weather. Wasn't well enough to be with us, but helped me to get set up so that at least I've shown up and we can show you some finds, share some happy news, ask some questions, check some answers, and just have a bit of fun. And who knows, if past experience is anything to go by, we may even last the hour with just me doing the talking. No comments about that, all right? But it is great to see you all, and it's great to see that you're chatting away. But if I wind the chat all the way back up to the top, I can have a look at who were the first three in tonight. And top of the tree on entry was Anne Goodwin. Second place was Bonnie Tyler Fan 34, and third came Laura Sully's Creations, just pip into the post Lexi and Ed, who were in straight after Briss. Anne, Bonnie Tyler Fan 34 and Laura, you got the top three places on the chat. But I can see a fair few people in and lots of chat in. I can see we've got two spanners in tonight. We got Ed and Phyllis. Great to have you in. And lots of chatting and lots of people saying hello to one another. And that's what this is all about. It's all about getting together, having a natter, having a bit of fun. And wasn't the video this week a bit of fun? I've never started a video with that level of excitement. We have been to places which looked promising. We've visited places that have been exciting, and there's a sense of anticipation. But to walk onto a dump where we had visited not that long before, and to find right at my feet before we'd even started filming a cod bottle, that has got to be just about as good as it comes for a beginning to a video. And we really did have a fun time. And I've got the cod bottle with me tonight, so I can tell you now that it is from, he says I can tell you, but I tell you what, that's the only thing with these bottles, it's why they get left, is because they're a little bit sick. So this one isn't too bad. They're also stinkers to clean. I think I've done a pretty good job there, because you can now hopefully see the marble as it moves back and forth in the top there. You can see the marble is in there, intact. No child has smashed the top off to play marbles with it. But it's on the back, it says this bottle is the property of Iman Brothers, Halifax. So there we are, Iman Brothers, Halifax. And on the front, you can see the X and the L, which we see quite often on bottles up that way. But we don't see these very often. No, we don't. I know others may have better joy than us, and bottle diggers see a lot of them. But a lot of bottle diggers take them with them. So those of us who go on scavenge hunts behind the bottle diggers, not always able to find a bottle as nice as that. But there you have it. There's the marble rocking back and forth in the top. And as all of you who watch regularly know, this was an ingenious invention that was brought out in the 1800s by a chap called, I believe it was Hiram Codd. He invented this because they had one major problem. Well, they had lots of major problems, in fairness, back in the 1870s. But one major problem back in the 1870s and before was when they had carbonated drinks, it was popping the corks off. Left, right and centre. they were losing lots of stock. So they needed someone to come up with an invention that would not allow bottles to either explode or pop the cork off the top. And this was the solution. These are heavy. They're a chunk of glass. You could tell by looking at them, I think, that they're a fair chunk of glass. The heavy glass, the thick glass, was to prevent the bottle exploding under pressure. But the magic of this is the marble in the top. Because if you look at the top there, you can see inside a rubber seal. And when the liquid was inside, the more pressure that was inside the bottle, the harder that little marble would press against the rubber seal. So the more it got shook up, the less likely it was to tip. And then you just push the marble down with a little plunger or with your finger. And when you pushed it down, it broke that seal. And just like when we open a bottle today and it goes, it let the gas out. And if you didn't drink it all, you could put your finger over the top, give it a shake. And as the pressure built up, it would lock the bottle. And it's in a little special place there because there's a shoulder here created in the glass. Because otherwise, that marble, if you do it that way, would keep coming back to the top and blocking it. But if you tip it that way, it hides in this little nook and the fluid runs over the top. So there we go. Our cod bottle. And our cod bottle is going to provide us with our first question tonight. Let me just grab my questions because another small technical problem. They've all fallen on the floor. Back in a minute. Here I am. I'm back. Okie doke. Here we go. So let's have a look. Have I got a logo and can I make it work? Hold tight, folks, and hopefully this is a question time jingle. Okay, there we go. That seemed to work fine, and I'm back with you, and you're all still with me. So let's get this first question sorted. Are you ready? Fastest finger first, as they say. Question 1. How many whole cod bottles have Caroline and I found over the years that we've been mudlarking? Was it A2, B3, or C4? Go! Here we are. See, I read the questions and do the go now. So let's have a look. Thank you, Ed. He's congratulating me on getting the right jingle. There we are. Mike, good day to you, Mike. Good to see you. Lovely you could join us. While people are putting in their answers, see, I can have a quick check of the chat. That's the only way I'm going to be able to read it tonight because I'm doing everything. Thank you for all the get wells. That's lovely of you all. Thank you so much. That's great. And oh dear me, Ed. When the cod started to dwindle in the sea as there was not enough to make the bottles. Oh, your humour, my boy, your humour. Oh, now then, lots and lots of answers coming in. Some using the ABC, some using answers of numerical, but they're all acceptable. And let's have a look. The very first answer in was correct. It was from Lexi B, who said 3. Now, there's maybe a little bit of confusion here, folks, because I said we have found 2 on that same dump. We have found 3 whole bottles, cod bottles, and I referenced that, but we were semi-gifted a slightly damaged one on another hunt. So the whole bottle count, as said in the video, was 3, which is B. So Lexi B comes in with a correct answer, followed immediately by Jason S, who also got a correct answer, giving 3, and Sharon Paget, who went B. So there we go. It's Lexi, Jason, and Sharon. You've got the gold, the silver, and the bronze on our first question. There we go. There we go. Well done. Yeah, we now have 3 of these. And in fact, here's the t'other one that we found on the same dump. And they're not identical, because this one was Iman Brothers with the XL on, and this one, as you can see, has a big H on the front. And it's let's have a look. Hunt and Horsfield. Hunt and Horsfield. So they've got a big H with a little H in it and a and on the top. Hunt and Horsfield Owners and Iman Brothers, that is. So 2 different companies, both based in Halifax, and they are the cod bottles, which shows that they were extremely popular at the time. It solved a problem, and of course that problem was later solved by screw tops, which made a much simpler creation, because you just had a standard bottle with a thread on the top. But for half a century, these things stole the market. They absolutely did. They thundered along. Oh, who's this? Ian Davis. Tina found a lovely cod bottle this week. Oh, well done, Tina. So glad for you. It's so exciting when you find a cod. It certainly is. It certainly is, Tina. There we go. And Lise just came. Hello all, just came in. Lovely to see you here as well. Mike, been trying to get in for 30 minutes. Oh, the demand is so great. Look, you just can't get in. They're queuing at the doors, Mike. Queuing at the doors. Well, I'm glad you overcome whatever technical problems there were. And it's wonderful that you're with us. But as I say, that is proving to be a very fruitful area that we're in. It's an area that we've visited many, many times over the last few years. But it's also an area that is currently producing, should I say, not so much. Well, yeah, I think the quantity of finds is increasing, but also the quality of finds is increasing, because the bottle diggers have started to revisit and rework it. Some of the areas we visit are not currently being dug by the bottle diggers. So we are searching through the rubble and stuff that's been left, and we're looking for finds, and sometimes we're looking over the same ground. But when your bottle diggers are in there and actively working, even in a small area, then you're able to pick up fresh stuff. And in fairness, so many of the bottle diggers are so kind and generous in as much as they leave finds for us. Sometimes we'll find them in a row. There'll be a little row of bottles on a side at the outside of a bottle digger's hole, where they've placed them on the side, knowing someone will come who will value those, want those. You know, they've taken what they want. They've taken those that either they feel are useful for their own collections, because some collect personally, or they are valuable, or at least of significant enough value to make it worth carrying them home and selling them. But then the things that they don't want or need, they leave behind. In the same way as we do when we find things that we're limited on what we can carry very often, because even though we use the car to get to close by where we go, sometimes in the case of one of the dumps we visit, the river can only be forded when it's at its lowest, and then when it's a wide river, and when we have forded it, the distance from where we park the car to get to the river is best part of a mile. So you're right off country. So of course, when you're coming back, that gives you a limitation. So you take some, you leave some. You take the things that interest you, the things that you just can't leave behind. And I know so many people comment, I'd have to take a lorry because I wouldn't be able to leave anything behind. But tell you what we'll do now. We're going to go now and do the first of the happy news. It's 1:15 and I'm going to do happy news. I'm back. I depressed the little logo and the little thing on you to say what we're going to do. And then I forget I've got to press live again. Otherwise, when it finishes, all you get is a black screen. Okay, here we go. First piece of happy news for tonight. And it's under the title, Unbelievable Birthday Surprise. When a Canadian professor lost his class ring while splashing around in Barbados with his son, finding a needle in a haystack must have seemed like a breeze by comparison. Yet miraculously, after 47 years of tumbling about in the surf, sand and shells, the man celebrated his 83rd birthday by slipping on his McMaster alumni ring again. He'd received the gold and ruby ornament when graduating in 1965 from the Faculty of Science. Fast forward to 2024 and something truly unbelievable happened. Incredibly, there was another McMaster University scholar visiting Barbados. And along with being a Mac alumni, he also is a professional freediver. And along with being a professional freediver, he'd also brought with him an underwater metal detector. His intention was simply to see what he could find. The freediver's name was Alex Davis, and he, on that dive, found Mr. Perigo's ring and instantly recognized that it belonged to one of his colleagues from McMaster's University. I found a McMaster's University signet ring with 3 initials on the inside, he wrote to the alumni officer, Laura Escalante. She, in turn, traced the owner because not only did it have the initials of the owner, but also inscribed the year of 1965. So it was much easier to find the owner than it ever would have been to find the ring. And what a delightfully unexpected birthday present for Perigo, who received it in the mail on the day that he celebrated his 83rd birthday. Well, that was quite a story. Quite a valuable ring as well. It was gold with a ruby, so it had significant value. And maybe if someone else had found it, they wouldn't have had the first clue how to trace its ownership. It obviously looked like it had been in the water for a long time, because it had been 47 years, as they said, rolling about in the sand and the surf, and no one would have ever found it unless they were diving, unless they were carrying a metal detector, and in order for it to come back to the owner, you needed that almost impossible third component, that the diver with the metal detector had attended the same university years later, therefore recognized what the ring was and realized how he could get it back to the owner. I just read that story and thought, you know, sometimes you think there are too many steps, too many impossibilities, too many problems for there to be that magical solution. Well, not necessarily, because that's what happened here. And then, of all the timings for it to arrive in the mail on his birthday, and he could put the ring back on his finger, must have been quite a party, quite a celebration. And there must have been a great deal of joy, obviously, for Mr. Perigo when he received his ring back. But I would imagine that the person that was able to make the connection and return it must have felt a great deal of joy too. And the guy that went diving must have been over the moon to think that on his 83rd birthday he had been able to return this ring back to its rightful owner. So whilst it had monetary value, and whilst someone could have picked it up, not understood what it was, and just took it into one of these hock shops and sold it for perhaps 100 quid, as it was, it made all that joy on its journey. So I wanted to share that with you, and I hope it's given you some encouragement too, because I do find encouragement in these things, because there are days when you think, oh my gosh, yeah, this is never going to work out, because I need that to happen, and that to happen, and that to happen, and this to happen, and the other to happen. Well, just because it looks impossible doesn't mean it is. It might be, but it isn't absolute. Nothing is over until it's over. And for this chap, I'm sure, long ago, he had given up on any faintest possibility of receiving that ring. But he did, and I thought that was a great story. Well, we'd better get back to the questions now, because I know if Caroline was here now, she'd be saying, well, it's gone 20 past, Phil. We'd better have another question. And I'll play the jingle again so we can have the question. Okay, now then, because it was such an exciting event to find our third ever Hull Cod bottle and the second one on the same dump on a different visit, then I decided that today we could have 2 cod bottle questions, not just the one. So we've already had one, but here's your chance to come in and get a gold, a silver or a bronze with another question about cod bottles. As I mentioned earlier, cod bottles were patented by Hiram Cod in London in 1872 and were extremely popular for over 50 years. But these days, they are more a specialist item, which are used primarily in 2 places. The one is Japan, where they are used for the soft drink Ramune. The other is for a drink called Banta, which is made where? Is Banta, which is put into cod bottles, made in A, Africa, B, China, or C, India? Go. Go, go, go. Where do you think, folks? There are, in fact, we had a bottle of the Japanese drink on a mudlark with us, a couple of years ago. We took it with us and we drank it on a mudlark. But they use cod bottles today. Now, the Ramune drink is made in Japan. But there is a company making a drink called, let's get the pronunciation right, Banta, B-A-N-T-A. And that drink is made where? Is it in A, Africa? Is it in B, China? Or in C, India? Where are they bottling Banta in cod bottles? Let's have a look. Well, I can see we've got A's, B's and C's. So I know somebody's going to be right. Yes, indeed. And let's have a look. Ooh, right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. So I'd say the answers are correct. Incorrect answers to correct answers are about 50-50 as I come down. The first 3 winners are in the first 6 answers, because the correct answer was India. Yep, they are still producing masses of cod bottles in India, and the cod bottles are used to bottle the fizzy drink Banta. So it's not China, it's not Africa, it's India. And the first correct answer in comes from P. Mitch. You get to go on a Go podium. The second correct answer, it may have took you 30 minutes to get in, Mike, but you are steaming because you are on silver podium, Mike Sage. And then the third correct answer, we got to jump down a couple. It's Anne Goodwin. There we go. And Anne, you picked to the post Bonnie Tyler fan who was directly behind you. So it's P. Mitch on gold, Mike Sage on silver, and Anne Goodwin on bronze. And the answer was India. Today, I suppose they are used partly because of the novelty. They were probably bottled in that, and they said, we're sticking with the bottle because it's what everyone recognizes, and the way you open it is unique. So it gave the drink that little bit something special. And it obviously works, because not only are those products available in their country, but I know for a fact that the Japanese drink is available in the UK as well, because we have drunk it, as I say, and I know others have said that they have had it and seen it. So there we go. I wish we had some here in Canada, Lisa. But yeah, bit of fun. They come with a little plastic thing and you put it on the top and you hit it like that and it pops the marble down and then you drink it. The ones we had were, I would say, 2/3 of the size of that, maybe. They weren't as big as that. They were a smaller size bottle. But absolutely the same principle as Mr. Imran Cod patented all those years ago. Right then, let's have a look at some other finds. Now here's a find that came up in the video when we were away in the caravan. So when I was cleaning up my finds, I came across it and I thought I'd bring it down to show you. And I gotta be careful because it's dripping, but I put my hand under it. And there you go, folks. There's the little poodle that Caroline found on the video 2 weeks ago, which we didn't have a live show for, so we haven't been able to show it. Now, as you can see, there's enough of him to be able to do something with, even though he does have quite a bit of damage. But I'm sure in the right setting, you could cover the damage and this little character would certainly look the part. Now then, here's a question for you all. Marble or not marble? Haha. Do you remember this one? Caroline found this pipe and she said, oh look, it's got a shape on the side like a shield. And when we cleaned it off, it's a heart. We've had one before. And the heart is actually a striker. I don't know if you can see the pattern there on the heart, but that pattern allows it to be used to strike a match. And on the front of this, or I should say on the back of this, because towards the stem end, there are some letters. But I don't know if you can see them there. And those letters are, oh, excuse me, I've got a bit of a sneeze tonight. TW, I believe. But the big question is, do you think it was a marble in this pipe? Because Caroline said, oh, I think there's a marble in there. Well, I'll put you out of your misery, because the answer is not a marble. Because as you can see, I have been able to remove it. It took some doing, because I didn't want to prise it too hard, because I would have broken the pipe bowl. But having removed it, I can now tell you it was actually not a marble. It was a doll's head. That was inside this pipe, and that's what Caroline thought was a marble when she took it out of the ground and it was full of earth and jammed in. It felt like a marble, but it was actually, when I take it out, it's a dolly's head. So that was quite an interesting little find. There we go. What's the chances of that ending up in there, eh? But there it was, and I thought that would be fun to share with you tonight. Now then, that wasn't the only little thing we found, because we also found this bit of china, which Caroline identified as a little lid off a mustard pot. And on little things, We also found some small bottles. Yes. Here we go. We have a small bottle there. And then we have a small bottle there. But there was one particular small bottle which Caroline measured against her hand and said, it's the size of my little finger. And now that I've given it a clean and a wash, can you see in the bottom? Yes, folks, that's the cork. That's the cork that was in this little bottle, which I think is absolutely brilliant to have the little cork in the bottle. Can't get it out because obviously it has gone in and it is swollen over time and it won't come out, but it's there now and it's part of the find, which is great. But as Carrie said, probably one of the smallest bottles that we have found. But I've got a question about small bottles. Where's the thingy? I'm back. I lost it then. Okay, a small bottle question. The smallest water bottle in the world was developed on the 11th of November 2016. The nano container can hold up to 2 molecules of water and then release them without breaking. So that, for the Guinness Book of Records, is the requirement. You have to be able to put a measurement of fluid in to the bottle, and then you have to be able to pour it out without the bottle breaking. And they did this on a bottle so small it only holds 2 molecules of water. Where was this nano bottle created? Was it in A, Brazil, B, Bulgaria, or C, Belgium? Go! What do you think, folks? Do you think the nano bottle was created in A, Brazil, B, Bulgaria, or C, Belgium? And I tell you what, a bottle that holds 2 molecules of water and is full, it would make this look like a giant up against it. That would be tiny, tiny, tiny. Everything must have been done under a microscope, but it is officially a water bottle, and it is officially the smallest one in the world. I'm just wondering which of these countries beginning with B do you think it was? Brazil, that would be A. Bulgaria would be B. Belgium would be C. Right, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Right. Well, again, I can see A, B's and C's, so we got a variety. So someone's going to be right. And I can tell you, if you are right, it's because you said C. Because the correct answer is Belgium. So, who was the first person to say Belgium? Let's have a look. Right, the first C on my list goes to, the lady with a spanner, Phyllis Williams. Well done, Phyllis. Now, Mike was in first this time, but he got an A. Peggy Reid came third with A. Ed came fourth with A. But then Sharon Paget came in with a C. So well done, Sharon. You get the silver. Then Colin Scott went B, and Ian Davis went C. So, Ian, you get the third podium place on a bronze. So it's Phyllis, then Sharon, then Ian, gold, silver and bronze. But I would say that there's quite a fair distribution of answers, and A wasn't far off being as popular as C. So quite a few people go in for Brazil. But it was Belgium. That's right, folks. They don't only make chocolate in Belgium. There we go. They also make nano bottles that hold 2 molecules of water. Right. Of course, the other things that we found quite a few of on this one was not just the pipe bowl with a doll's head in, but we found a few other pipe bowls. There's one that we found there. There we go. Quite a large one. Again, as all of you people out there will know by now, the larger the bowl, the more recent the pipe. Simply on the fact that tobacco was so expensive in the earliest days that the pipe bowl was very small. And then it got bigger and bigger as people were able to smoke more and more because tobacco got cheaper and cheaper. And that's the secret to the size. So that one is, it's going to be over 100-year-old probably, but it's still not the oldest types. So there we go. And here's another one. Now this one is a bit more complete, and again it's got the letters on the back which look like a T and a W. It's a bit clearer on this one, stamped on there, and it's got that striking heart so that you could strike your match on the side. But this one's had a bit of a bang and he's been chipped away at on the front of the bowl, so that's had a bit of a chunk out of him there, but still a nice find. And let's have a look here. Yeah, there's another one. Now this one has something written on the back. Put it up there. I don't think it's going to focus, is it? No, it's not going to focus for us, I don't think. Which is a shame. Oh, hang on. Hang on. I don't think you can read it, but I think you can see. There we go. There we go. That's the insignia on the back. And I believe that says O'Brien. If I have a quick look here. Yeah, I think so. I think it's O'Brien is written across there. And I think it's possibly County Mayo. So that's the company and the location of manufacture on the back of there. Yeah, look, I hold up now and it's going on straight away. This has got a mind of its own, this thing. But that's another nice find. See, pipe stems, pipe bowls, we always find them exciting because we went so long without finding them. And then we started to find bits of pipe stem, and then we found pipe bowls, and we've never lost that joy of picking these things up and collecting them together. And of course these days through the boxes, sharing some of them with others who are not as fortunate as us to be able to go and get these things. So it's great. It's just great to just go out and not know what you're going to come back with. As I say, that's what I love about going to charity shops. Caroline and I go to charity shops and we never know what we're going to come back with. We'll go online on an auction site and we'll run through the catalogue, and you don't know. When you come to that next lot, you haven't got a clue what's going to be there. There may be 500 lots in there, and you find that one thing that you think, good grief, never thought I'd see that. And it's fun because there's so much in life that we have to do, so much in life that is mundane, it's predictable, it's important, but it's still predictable. We go shopping because we need to have clothes, we need to have food, we need the things that just make life possible day by day. And that can be repetitive, but it's necessary. But I think there's something in us as human beings that has the sense of joy from the unexpected as well. And that's what, for us, going on to a dump does. We never know when we leave, if we're staying in a Premier Inn somewhere, if we're staying in a caravan, or if we're travelling from home. We never know when we get in the car and leave what we're going to come back with. Never know what on earth we're going to discover. And as the little head inside the pipe bowl proved, you really don't know, because that was just uncanny. And you know, Caroline was really chuffed when I took it in, because I cleaned them up before I come down, and I was potting it. I come back and said, it wasn't a marble, dear. She said, oh, that's a shame. What was it? I said, it was a doll's head. She said, oh. So, you know, those little surprises, they're good fun. And of course, through the magic of YouTube, we can share that fun with all of you. Those who go bottle digging, and those who go mudlarking, and those who don't. Those who are unable to, as well as those who are able to. We can all join in the fun. And I think that's great. Right, what's happening here? It's saying now tobacco has gotten more and more expensive. Glad I gave up almost a year ago. Well done on you, Ed, because it's not an easy battle, but it's one worth fighting for your health and for your wealth. Because as you say, it's certainly not inexpensive these days. Amazing how these pipes survive. Yeah, when you think of what they're made of, you know, that one I showed you that has been obviously given a real good whack to take those two chunks off the front, and yet it is still totally recognizable and on the other side intact. So I think, and they do go to a time and place, you know, you're going back to Dickensian England sort of thing. And I've always had that about stuff. I find I love to hear the stories that people tell. In my job, I hear a lot of stories, from life stories of people. People who may have passed away in their 90s. I've done a service for somebody who was 104, and listened to their life story, and then having all the information, spent hours writing that life story out so that we could present it on the day of celebrating their life. And it's always incredible when you can sort of almost touch it, because it's personal. And I find that with items like these, when you pick them up, Caroline will sometimes say to camera, I wonder who had this, I wonder who owned this, I wonder how this got here. I remember a week or so ago, she found a child's shoe and an adult shoe, and she said, I wonder if this came from the same home, the same household. Was this a parent and a child? And it's those questions that come up in your mind that make it history come alive. And for me, holding and touching things from that time just gives you a link, gives you a sort of emotional contact with something that you intellectually know, but then you actually get the sense that you have an understanding of it all the more. So we love them. We absolutely love them. Karen was saying tobacco must have been cheap. Well, of course, it was at one time. It was. I remember when there were cigarette machines out on the streets, and you used to put a 2 shilling piece in, and depending on which drawer you pulled, you'd get a different brand of cigarettes, and depending on how expensive the brand was, you got more. So if you had number 10, it was like a full pack, but if you had Embassy, there would be only about 6 cigarettes in the packet. So that's how they used to differentiate, but at one standard price. So as you say, if you go back 100 years, then the price on tobacco, it wasn't as high as it is today. But of course, a lot of that is with reflection on, there's a lot of taxation on it these days, as governments around the world try to influence people's decisions and help them to take the choice that's more healthy for them, I suppose. As like Ed, I gave up, but I gave up many years ago when we had 2 children and they were little, and I just never wanted my children to ever begin to smoke because I'd smoked. So that gave me the motivation to be able to fight the battle, and that's why I said to Ed, I know it's not an easy battle, but it's certainly one that's worth fighting in the end. When you get there, it's worth it, that's for sure. Right then, What am I going to do next? I'm going to ask another question. That's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to ask another question. Get ready, folks. I'm back. Okay. This question is again linked to a find. And that find is this one here. Because this is a bottle that, as you can see there now that we've cleaned it off a little and it's dried up, or at least I hope you can see it there. Let's see if I can hold this in such a way as it'll show. There's quite a bit of detail on the label there. And if I turn it around that way, you can see another label there which has information on it. Explaining how brilliant surface on new wood, because as we recognized on the day, this is a bottle that once contained varnish. There we go. And actually, as you can see on the bottle, there's a bit of varnish left in it. On the inside of the bottle there, still stained with varnish from 100 years ago. So that is a varnish bottle. And here's my varnish question. The word varnish comes from the medieval Latin word vernix, which refers to what? Its colour would be A, its texture would be B, or its smell would be C. Go. Okay, so does the word varnish, is it drawn from a medieval Latin word that A refers to the colour of the varnish, B refers to the texture of the varnish, or C refers to the smell of the varnish? What do you think? Which do you think it is? Because it's all down to knowing your Latin. And if you know what the medieval Latin word vernix means, then you'll be cracking along and coming top of the tree here. So let's see where all our Latin scholars are. Oh, do you know what? I reckon you must all be secret Latin scholars or fancy your chances, because I think we're getting more answers in on this Latin question than any other question so far. Right. Well, we better have a look here, because... Ooh, that's interesting. The first correct answer is the 7th answer on the list, and it goes to Carlin Scott, who went C, its smell. And then we got to go down another 2 places to find Phyllis Williams, who said C, and another 2 places to find Laura Sully's Creation, who went C. So well done to you 3 and all those who got C, because C looks like the least popular answer. But Carlin, Phyllis and Laura, you got gold, silver and bronze. Yes, it actually means, the medieval Latin word vernix means odorous resin. Odorous resin. It's the odor of resin. So it's referring to the smell. There we go. And that's what they made varnish out of. They used to take a resin, they take something like the sap from the pine, and they would mix it with solvents, and they kept experimenting until they got a mixture that would hold together and do the job, which was put a shine on the outside of wood that protected it. So there we go, that's where varnish comes from. And now you'll know, next time you see somebody using varnish and it smells, you'll say, yes, well, it's bound to smell, because that's what the name means. There we go. I'm just checking the chat. Ooh, somebody talking about French. Yeah, there we are. People talking about school. Oh, I didn't go to school very often. But since I've been doing my job, I found out I wasn't on my own. There was a lot of lads didn't go to school very often. It seems it seems to be more a lad thing, not going to school very often back in the day. But I loved a line the other day. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. Talking to a chap, and his dad was 95 when he passed away, and his son turned around and said, "Our dad wasn't keen on school, but he learned enough to get on in life." And I thought that was a lovely line. I used it at his service. And as I went through his 95 years of life, as I spoke about him and all that he achieved in his life and the things he did, every time I'd come to another accomplishment in his life, I'd say, and as his boy said, he might not have been keen on school, but he learned enough to get on in life. And sometimes it's not about the quantity of qualifications, but it can be about having enough knowledge to be able to make the right choices and take the right chances. And that's how life can be for us all. We're all different. Some people have that tremendous capability academically. You know, I've got some in our family and they're really bright. You know, I've got my younger brother was a director of St Andrews University. My older brother, he set up the Wheelie Bin Cleaning Company. Both of them at different times in their life trained as nurses, one in psychiatric nursing and the other in general nursing, but then went on in their careers. And me, well, I sit here and talk to you lot. See, we all find our niche in life, and you just find yours and enjoy it. That's the main thing. But there we go. Next time people ask you, do you know any Latin? You can say yes. I know that the medieval Latin word vernix, which was used to make varnish, refers to its smell. Right, how are we doing? Wow, time's moving on, and we've still got a piece of happy news to do. So, I'm going to do some happy news. Yeah, getting better at this now. I was better at the beginning, and I started to get confused. Happy news. This is under the title of Feathered Foster Mum Saves an Emu. An abandoned emu is thriving in a British aviary after being raised by an unlikely foster mum who was 1/10 her size. The emu, who was named Shrub, was rejected by parents who had also had a difficult start in life themselves. Keepers at Birdworld discovered the lifeless 1 pound body of an emu chick covered in mud, flies, and being pulled from the nest by crows. And it turned out to be Shrub. In the wild, that would certainly have been the end of the story. But as they were in captivity, the job of raising her was given to Nugget, a small bantam hen. Shrub quickly learned how to pick up food, drink, and coordinate her gangly legs. The keepers loved watching the two of them together, said Polly, adding that it wasn't long before the difference in size meant that the moment had come to try and reconnect Shrub with her parents. Today, Shrub now lives full-time with her parents, having started her life facing adversity, but finding hope under the wing of her caring foster mother, Nugget. And I thought, what a lovely story that was. It was a nice story. It was a story about animals. It was a story about that really takes things to an extreme, because emus, as they say, are 10 times the size of a bantam hen. But the bantam hen had the skills that the emu needed to survive. And by putting the two together, the emu learnt those basic skills from a most unlikely source. But of course, as they said, it could only be a temporary arrangement, because the size issue was getting more profound day by day. But when they'd got the emu so that it was strong again, they were able to reintroduce it back where it belonged, back with its mum and dad, and they're now a family unit again. So I thought, what a nice story. Lots and lots of positive and good things in there. So that's, at least now I can tell Caroline when the show ends that I have done all the happy news. I'm just trying to see. Way to go, Nugget. Yep. Rodell and Emu, a blast from the past. Yeah, I remember when Rodell and Emu were on Parkinson. Did you see that one? When they kept attacking everybody. And yeah, it was quite crazy. Who would have ever thought somebody could get that famous just by being a ventriloquist that never spoke? Because he had this emu on his arm, and he never did any ventriloquism. He just attacked people with the emu. The emu just did faces. And he ended up running shows, and he was massive at one time. He really was. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, tell you what. Before we get that question that always divides us, I've got one more question to give you a chance to get on the podium. So let's have the last but one question of the night. Okay, now we love bottle hunting in the forests. It is so nice. We love to see the sunlight through the trees, and I know I keep referring to it and showing you it, but it is a gorgeous feeling to be out under the woods. In the heat of summer, it gives us shade and protection, and then even in the cool of autumn, it is gorgeous to see that light breaking through and you're in the wind rustling. And of course in the spring, as we've shared with you so many times, the sounds of the birds singing is incredible. But whilst we love to see the trees and love to see the variety of the trees, it is incredible to realize just how many types of tree there are in the world. Because a study published in 2022 stated their results indicate that there are 73,000 tree species globally, including those that have not yet been discovered. Now this is where we get clever, folks. We've gone past now gathering data of all the trees that have been discovered. These people using all the data and computers and looking at areas of forest. Do you know what? We are trying to get to Mars, and there's still forests on this earth that we haven't even managed to get to the heart of yet. So there's the question. Out of those 73,000 trees, how many of those 73,000 have not yet been discovered? Now I know that sounds complicated, but go with me. It's true. A, 3,000 trees, B, 9,000 trees, or C, 15,000 trees. Go. So they have calculated using computers and information and maps of the world that there are 73,000 species of trees in the world. But they also have built into that equation those that we will not yet have discovered, and they've put a figure to that. And they have said that it is either 3,000, 9,000 or 15,000 species of trees that we don't yet know about because we haven't discovered them, because we have not got far enough into some of the forests on our planet. Amazing to think that we are destroying forestry at such a colossal rate, and yet there is still so much we don't know about it. Isn't that incredible? Well, oh gosh, lots of answers. Ooh. Oh, somebody's going back to Captain Pugwash, Mary, Mungo and Midge. Oh boy, there's a lot of reminiscing going on here tonight. Right, let's have a look at these answers then, because there's lots and lots of them in, but I've got to scroll back up. Gosh, I've got to scroll up a way to get to the top. Here we go. Right, well, it seems like two particular answers have become quite popular, and the strange thing is it's neither of them. Ooh, so I've got to scroll back down again. Down again, down again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10th answer in. Ed Creative, you went B. They believe that of the 73,000 species of trees on this planet, 9,000 species of tree have not yet been catalogued, seen and identified. So there we go, 9,000, it's B. And the first answer on the podium for gold, Ed Creative. Directly behind Ed, coming in on silver, lovely to see Rachel Bailey. And taking another podium tonight, going bronze, it's Anne Goodwin. So there we go, not the most popular answer by a long way. But in fact, I can only see 3 other B's after that. So if you got 9,000, you were spot on. Give yourself a pat on the back. Okay, folks, it's 10 o'clock. So it's time to ask that question of questions. How many places did you see Mankey this week? Go. Put me a number. I'll give you a clue. It's single figures. It's single figures. Do you want to have a guess if you weren't counting? But how many places did you see Mankey this week in the video? It's going to be a contrary one, I know, because there were a few suggestions. On the night. Let's have a look here. Right. Oh, it's looking interesting. Okay, folks, there's quite a spread of answers, and all of them are within the realms of possibility because of the way that the film was shot this week with that incident on the hill where Mankey was digging out the pipe stem. So I'm going to go with what I have on the sheet, and you can check it out for yourselves. The first one I've got was behind me up on the banking. When I was speaking to Caroline, I said, look at Mankey up there. And he was up on the banking behind me. So that's one. Then, as Caroline moved up the banking and looked towards Mankey, he had moved. So he wasn't in the same position now. He had come down and was standing below the pipe looking at it. So that's two. Then, that was it. The one was 7:06, the other was 9:37. Then at 10:30, Mankey dives in and starts digging and trying to get the pipe bowl out. So that's three. Then at 10:45, he comes back into shot and he's looking at the pipe bowl on Caroline's hand after she dropped it and retrieved it. He's looking at it on her hand. And then at 17:39, he's behind me in the tree in the end piece. So that makes it officially 5 separate occasions that he was seen. Which means, working on a 5, we've got Ed Creative takes the gold. Let me just check I got this right. Yeah, Ed takes the gold. Going down looking for another 5. Ian Davis. Hang on. Jumped in. Yeah. Ed's got a 5. Ian Davis has got a 5 and Anne Goodwin's got a 5. I trust I got that right. So it's Ed, Ian and Anne. And my apologies if I've missed anybody else with a 5. And well done, Ribble Finds, 2 places, but at 4 plus. And put the times on there. You've got the right times, you've got the right areas. Hope you understand my explanation. Well, folks, it's 10:05. We've overrun. The hour is gone. And I am now going to go and have a drink because I forgot to bring one with me and my voice is drying out. But as I leave you, I'll show you one final find, and that was the ink that Caroline picked up when we arrived at the dump. That's a boot as well. We're getting quite a few of these lately and they are gorgeous. Well, thank you everyone for being with me. Thank you for all your good wishes. We'll be with you again on Friday night with another video. But until then, don't forget, have fun. Bye. Now I gotta work out how to switch this off. Oh, let's have a look here. Stop streaming.